Alright guys, my name is Sri and this is my tank. It's a RedSea Reefer 250 and I bought it from another reefer and I've had it going since December 2019. So it's a little more than close to 9 months now. And I just thought I'll give you a quick rundown of the tank, and this being my first video, it's going to be just an overview of the setup. So this predominantly, when I started out with it, I had some LPS and some softies, and then COVID kind of got in the way, and I couldn't, I wasn't in town for a few months with the tank running on autopilot. So a lot of the stuff that I had in terms of corals, hammers and things like that actually crashed. So which was unfortunate, but COVID happened. So I guess all of us were affected by it. So what I've done is, last month or so, I've kind of restarted the tank. You know, not exactly restarted, but from a corals perspective at least, I've started it. And this is going to be an SPS only, or predominantly SPS tank with the flow etc. aligned to that, and even in SPS I plan to keep just Acropora, and I don't plan to keep too many Montes. I'm not a Montipora person, I guess. I have some German brewed Digitata there, but I think that's probably going to be the extent of Montes in this tank. Yeah, I have a Lobo here, so that's kind of the only non-SPS in this tank. And I think this is some club polyp, so it's not GSP. I thought it was GSP when I got it, but it is not. Okay, all right. So let's jump into the livestock first. So a lot of these the fishes have actually survived the face of the tank being neglected when I was not there for a few months. This is the rabbit fish, a purple tang over there, a flame wrasse, Picasso clownfish. I don't quite remember the ID of this guy. I think it's a close relative of the swordtail. I have a firefish, a copper band. The copper band is a new addition. It's a post-COVID addition, so it's been here a month. Thankfully, he eats mices. In fact, he fights for the mices with the purple tank. So I'm really glad I did that. But yeah, and the only downside to that is he doesn't eat pellets, which is kind of a problem, right? If I need to leave the tank unsupervised. So what else have I got there? I have a lawnmower Blenny somewhere, right? He's pretty active and healthy, and he's been there right from the beginning. I have this tuna shrimp. I also have a couple of peppermint shrimp. I just had one or two aptasia. I think they took care of it. So yeah, this is the fish. I think for this tank, I think this is probably rightly sized. As you can see, the rabbitfish and fox face is kind of grown too big. I still haven't had the heart to give him off, but let's see. Maybe I have to at some point. Right? So this is the purple tank looking all aggressive and everything. He's the boss. He's the boss. Make sure it's well known. Alright, so what do I have in terms of corals, right? So like I said, it's mostly Acropora. So I have, I think that's a yellow, again, a digi, maybe. Yeah, or a spondard. The Hawkins echinata over here. This is the red planet. On the far side, what looks like a white, very pale thing. It's actually an ice fire. It had very faint blue on its on the skeleton, but it hasn't done well in my tank, so it kind of faded off. I've just kept it there. Hopefully, it kind of regains its color at some point. Next to it, again, is an acro that I do not know what that is. Then there is the lime in the sky. It's a pretty decent, decently sized rag. It actually gets very pretty. I'm just waiting for it to color up under my new lights. So it should get like a blue at the tips. Then there is this limeade. So this, as you can see, has purple tips, slightly green body. That's a limeade. Again, this is another plating acro. Again, waiting for it to color up. This one is actually a Princess Peach SPS, right? So it's supposed to have these super looking pink polyps, red polyps with pink body, exoskeleton, and again, it's not yet colored up. Behind that is the small stick looking like it's nobody, but it's actually a Maleficent. So I'm waiting. It's dark red. So all of this, I'm just waiting for it to color up, because since I've restarted, I've got my parameters proper again, and these frags are new. So next to that, that's an Achilles, a candlelight acro, and then there is the Miyagi tot. That's one of the nicer pieces I have. It's got a lovely shade of green. If it doesn't show very well in this. It's got a lovely shade of green on the blue, and of course the Bali Slimer, the green Slimer, lovely acrodat. And then I have a Tenaway. I think it's a blue Tenaways. This is a Walt Disney acro. Tenaways, Walt Disney. So again, it's supposed to have these golden polyps with big purple tips. So yeah, let's see how it goes. this is another acro I don't quite know the name of. Then I have some, that's a Jason Fox, Leptatstria. Some Bam Bam zoas, again some other zoas. And these have survived my tank neglect over the COVID period. This is a chalice, right? It's a beautiful teal color chalice. Paid quite a bit for that small piece, small piece of chalice. But yeah, let's see how it colors up. And then this is a beautiful looking coloring piece of acro here. It's got these green fluorescent polyps with royal blue depths and like a off-white yellowish kind of a base. Not sure if you guys can see it properly. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much the livestock at the moment. For cleanup crew, I have a few turbo snails. They must be around somewhere. Yeah, that's I don't have too much cleanup crew. I don't quite have a lot of algae, and whatever algae gets on the tank is quickly eaten by the rabbitfish and the purple tank. So we do a good job of that. So considering them part of my cleanup crew. Again. Okay, so let's move on to equipment, right? So that's the lawnmower blend. He's doing his job. He does a great job at algae demolition. Alright, starting with lights, okay? So these are the lights that I've gotten, just last week. So this is the Giesemann Spectra. It runs 4 T5 24 watt I think bulbs and one 250 watt single-ended metal halide. I think it's at the 14K spectrum. I asked for that. It's called the Mega Chrome E40. So I'm like really super happy with this setup. I think very few people in Singapore, at least I don't know of anyone actually who runs metal halide. Most people stick with LEDs, but I wanted to kind of see what's the big deal with metal halides, because some people just swear by them, and of course there's this whole debate about whether LEDs can provide the right spectrum for the growth of corals, especially given I don't think the LED technology is yet mature, or maybe it's now even impossible. I don't see any research or technology advancement in terms of providing spectrum at the 390 nanomol range. So that's the UV range. I don't think LEDs are able to provide that. Of course, the metal halide of course has a better spread. So I have this Kessil which I'm running with one more Kessil. It's an A360W tuna blue. It's decent. But since I was going with an SPS predominant tank, I wanted the power, plus I wanted kind of the spread. The LED lights are very focused, so it kind of creates shadows under the corals, and so I kind of wanted to get rid of the shadows. So yeah, I think I'll do separate video just going into the lighting, my feedback about Giesemann Spectra, my whole experience about importing it from Germany. So yeah, I'll do that in a separate video, right? So that's for lighting. I kind of are right now. I'm the schedule I'm running it. So the T5 and the halides come on at 8 in the morning. Halides go off at 5 in the evening. So 9-hour photo period, and the T5 again goes off at around 9:30 in the evening, and this LED kind of then stays on for half an hour for my viewing pleasure. Obviously, everything looks different under the LED. Maybe I'll kind of do a short video on just the LED light to showcase the fluorescence and everything. But yeah, it's nice. Yeah, so I've kind of I have a Senai power meter, and I've actually taken the power readings with the metal halide and the T5, and it's amazing. It's at the top of the water. It's about 1,000 power, or I think 1,200, just under the water, that is. And where at the top of my, these rock structures, it's getting around 500, 600 power across, and just below that, at these levels, it's about 400 power, and at the bottom, on the bed, on the sand bed, it's about 200 to 300 power. So there's a lot of light now. So, and the reason why I wanted kind of a lot of light on, at least on the sand bed, was because I'm trying to keep some clams, and they need the light, right? So yeah, so I'm really happy with the lights for the moment. Yeah. Anyway, we'll come back and do like maybe a 2-month review or a month review after the lights kind of have had a chance to kind of settle in. There is a period of the lights kind of settle in, so it's brand new. So I think the light color changes well. But yeah, for the moment I'm kind of really happy. For flow, I've got a Gyre 130, a single Gyre, a Jebao SL20, SLW20, an 8TS AI Nero, AI Nero 5, right? And a Jebao again. That's yeah, that's, I don't remember the model number of that Jebao, right? Pump. But yeah, more than enough flow. That in combination with the return, the flow created by the return. So I think I have more than adequate flow for an SPS dominant tank. So as you can see, the water agitation at the top of my tank kind of shows you how much flow there is, right? All right, so that's flow. So let's see. Let's go back to my sump. Like I said, it's a RedSea 250, so the sump area is pretty small, but I've kind of fit in a lot of equipment in that small space. So let's go over what I do. So I have, so again, this is a recent edition. I have a Clarisea SK-3000 Gen 2, which takes care of the mechanical filtration. So I used to run filter floss, but now I don't. It was like a painful exercise or a project on its own to try and fit this Clarisea in this space. Actually, there was no space, so there were baffles, there were glass baffles, and the filter sock area, which I had to kind of cut, as you can see here. See, I had to cut these baffles off from that space. Yeah, so you know, it's not an easy exercise, but again, this is just an overview video, so maybe at some point I'll just do a focus session on how to set up Clarisea, and in case you kind of want me to do that earlier, just drop me a line in the comments. Yeah, and I'm running bio pellets, Tim's NP bio pellets for nitrate export, carbon dosing on a Nyos. So I'm doing that using a Nyos Spark 0.75. I'm running some GFO for the phosphates. I have a bag of carbon just to clear up any toxic waste. There behind the GFO is a bag of Orca Nitrogard titanium. So it's apparently it does a good job of reducing nitrates only, so without doing anything to the phosphates, which is great, because otherwise usually everything reduces according to the red field ratio. So but yeah, so this kind of does that. So it doesn't matter what the phosphate levels are, so it kind of takes care of the nitrate reduction, which is supposedly cool. But this is the second day I think for inside, so I'm gonna wait for 14 days and see where my nitrate levels are. I've got a Nyos Quantum Skimmer. It does like a great job of skimming, right? I run an Yahim, I think it's a 12 volts or 11 volts, 11 volt ultraviolet to clear up the tank water, right? What else have I got? And I've got my Camor 4-part doser, 4-head doser and we'll go into what I'm dosing and the parameters in a bit after the equipment. The return, I'm running Incotec Spectra. I think it's an S2 and an old Heim pump for the chiller there. So this is the this is the ATO for. So it's the RedSea pump. Sump actually comes with an ATO. It's rather small. I think it's about 10 gallon. Probably lasts for about 2-3 days. So and it won't last when I go on a vacation. So I got this ATO reservoir. I think it's 25 liters. Is it 25 liters? Yeah. So it lasts me a long time, and so I run a Tunze osmolator as the ATO with a Tunze pump inside that. Yeah, so that's kind of the equipment I'm running. There's a few other things that we should probably go over. So I'm running a chiller. TK500. It's been running from the start, and I also have my Apex. I think it's the Apex EL. So I plugged in the waymakers and the pump, so that it kind of switches off just when my auto feeder come on. So I programmed that. There's still some work I need to do on setting up a few alarms on the Apex, but it's been a lifesaver. So it kind of I can look at pH and temperature constantly. It's kind of saved me a few times when obviously when I was out of town, and I had somebody come over to have a look at the tank, and they did something. So the chiller pump kind of turned off. So and then when they left, the temperature started rising. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have caught it unless it was for the apex, right? So I was sitting in a different country, but the apex kind of notified me that the temperature was off, so I could at least tell the guy to come back and have a look. And yeah, he did. And yeah, so the chiller pump was off. He had to fix it. I did lose a few corals in that exercise, but at least all of my fish survived. So yeah, I'm glad I have the apex. And then I run an Alkatronic. So I was using the Hana checker for alk. As you can see, yeah. So that's my DKH right now, 7.98. Right. So that's the alk level I run at. Again, if you want like an in-depth review of the Alkatronic, I can do that. I was running the Hana checker, but again, I don't know what I would do without the Alkatronic, because I can actually see this test I think 6 times a day, and so I can see what happens when I kind of dose something like the Nopax, how it affects my alkalinity, how the alkalinity swings in the night and the day, and adjust my dosing according to that. See, a lot of interesting things that this does, right? So you can go into the details in a separate video, but it's been amazing. It just needs a calibration once in a while, so otherwise it's just perfect, right? So yeah, I kind of so that's the Alkatronic reagent, and then it also doses some sodium bicarbonate, which is alkalinity, which I just prepare. When the alk goes below the low level, which is set it at 7, so it kind of doses it until it kind of reaches that low level. So that's pretty cool. Again, I like some automation in the tank, so keeps my hands off, and yeah, that's cool. And let's talk about parameters, right? So my alk, like I showed you, is at 7.98 or 8, which is probably where I want it to be. I was keeping it at 7.3, 7.4 for a long time, and then yesterday I dosed some calcium and strontium, so they kind of made a big jump on the alkalinity as well. So and bicarbonate as well, carbonate. So yeah, that jump, I'm hoping it doesn't impact the corals because they don't like swings. So alkalinity is at 7.98 or 8, and then the calcium is at 445, magnesium is at 1260, phosphates have always been around 0.1 or less than 0.1. Right now I think it's at 0.06. I think it's creeping down, so I kind of started feeding more heavily since yesterday. Yeah, and nitrates have been around 25 ppm, so So I'm kind of struggling with my nitrates a little bit. So that's the reason why I've started doing dosing doing the carbon dosing with both NOPOX. I do about 6 ml NOPOX every day. I've got the bio pellets running. I actually also, dose a bit of Microbacter 7, it's the beneficial bacteria, every morning, 5 ml I think, and yeah. So hopefully, and then recently I've added this Orca Nitra that I've done. So I'm kind of doing whatever it takes to bring that nitrate level down to 5 to 10 ppm. Hopefully 5 ppm, right? I think for phosphates are where it is. At some point I want to get rid of the GFO as well as the biopellets. Make some space in my sump for refugium. But yeah, till then, I need to get the nitrates down. I mean, there's not much of hair algae or something like that, but there's a film of algae dust on my glass every day. So yeah, it would be nice to kind of get that levels down. So as far as dosing is concerned, I dosed the 3-part, the Aquaforest 3-part, Compton 1, 2, 3. That's the only thing I dosed. And yesterday, my strontium levels are I think close to 0. So I dosed 5 scoops of biostrontium from Tropic Marine yesterday. It should bump up my strontium levels to 2. I need to do that period of time to get that to about 10 to 16. My potassium is good. It's at 400, so that's good. Yeah, I've not tested for iodine, but I'm not really bothered about iodine at this moment. I don't run any Cheeto or macroalgae. Yeah, that's a quick overview of my tank, the equipment, the livestock, some of the automation. So this is my first video, and I plan to kind of do these updates on an ongoing basis, just as a log for myself, as well as maybe of interest for somebody. And maybe I'll do an in-depth review of some of the few things like the Clarisea setup or my experience with Alkatronic and anything else, and my Giesemann Spectra lights. Maybe I'll kind of show you when I'm doing the palm app and everything. So yeah. Alright, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye. And if you like this video, please click on like and subscribe. Thank you.